Let's move on then. Magistrate Estelle de Lange says Dr Nandipha Magudumana played a huge role in the escape of her lover, Thabo Bester. This came out during her bail application in the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court. The disgraced doctor will remain in custody after her bail application was rejected by the court. Magudumana is facing charges of assisting an inmate to escape from lawful custody, violation of a dead body, and defeating the ends of justice. SABC News reporter Chriselda joins us live now. Chriselda, certainly something that in fact I do understand that Chriselda is still not with us on the line at the moment, but we'll continue to monitor that and bring you that particular story as soon as it happens, because this is something that Dr Nandipha Magudumana did not see coming. She had hoped that she put her best foot forward when it comes to some of the arguments that she presented in court. You remember she even said that she didn't leave the country of her own accord, painting a picture of someone who was either coerced or forced by Thabo Bester in order to leave the country, which has got a lot of people talking, lots of people asking questions, and Chriselda is standing by, I understand. Now, Chriselda, certainly something that she did not expect, and one can only imagine the disappointment, and I'm sure she was visibly upset, as some of us saw in some of the visuals earlier today.
Well, that's right, Bongiwe. Of course, you would have expected today, bound to be heightened interest in what Magistrate Estelle de Lange's judgment would be. And one of the interested parties, of course, you would remember, is the family of Katlego Bereng, whose body was used as a decoy in the escape plot of a convicted murderer and rapist Thabo Bester. We started early this morning. My colleague Kamogelo Siekwe had spoken to Bereng's mother. She did not mince her words ahead of the judgment some hours before it was handed down. I want us to first take a listen to that clip before we unpack for you what happened inside court.
Depression. I'm not okay now. I'm sick. I'm sick because of Nandipha. I'm depressed. It has created a wound in me. It's also painful for his children. His children are struggling while her children are doing well. And now she wants bail. How must I feel? I'm sick. I'm not well.
And then, Bongiwe, as part of her judgment, let's go inside court now. Magistrate Estelle de Lange found that Magudumana had left the country voluntarily and that the evidence that was before court did not support her allegation that she was kidnapped. Remember, in her affidavit, she said she was threatened and forced to leave the country against her will by Thabo Bester. So the presiding magistrate also found that Magudumana was a flight risk and there was no bail conditions to limit this risk. The fact that she didn't satisfy the court either, that it would be in the interest of justice for her to be released on bail. De Lange basically also saying that Magudumana was previously able to leave South Africa and cross 3 borders without a passport. So having crossed those borders, there's a good indication that she has the means and the know-how to, and if she were to be released, she would also have the means to assist Mr. Bester escape possibly once again. Also saying there's no evidence that the life of the applicant, who's Magudumana in this instance, would be at risk if she would be released on bail. Let's take a listen to part of that judgment.
It's always sad that children should be separated from their mother, but this is also a choice that was apparently exercised by the applicant when she left the country with accused number 5. When she left, she knew that she most probably will not return. Whenever she left under circumstances that she was kidnapped, whether that happened, that will come out during the trial. At this stage, all the evidence available points in the direction that she left voluntarily. She claimed in her affidavit that she was unaware of the presence of her passport and the other passport in the cubbyhole of the vehicle, but a witness filed a statement to the effect that the applicant deceived her in handing the passport to the applicant. The fact that they did not leave with one of the applicant's vehicles, but in a rented vehicle, which they used to leave in the country is also an indication that they intended to leave the country so that they would not be traced, to wipe out any trace of them. In conclusion, I find that the applicant is a definite flight risk and that no bail condition will assist under the circumstances to limit this risk.
Remember, the onus was on Magudumana to prove on the balance of probabilities that it was in the interest of justice for her to be released on bail. The presiding magistrate says she didn't convince the court to that effect. Remember, she is facing a Schedule 5 offence of corruption amongst other charges, which places the onus on her to prove it would be in the interest of justice to let her out, pending, of course, her trial, which we don't know when will start at this particular stage. But the National Prosecuting Authority welcoming the decision of the Magistrates Court today. Let's take a listen.
Well, one of the arguments that was advanced by the state in opposing her release on bail was that the allegations are that she was captured in Tanzania, and for her to get to Tanzania, the allegations are that she did not use a passport. So it simply means that it's a person who's got an influence. Even if you attach any stringent bail condition to her release, somebody who's got that kind of influence, especially somebody who we regard as a flight risk in that she ended up in another country without using any legal document to be in that country. That's somebody who's got an influence, and that's somebody who can be regarded as a flight risk. So the magistrate took that into consideration, that even if she was to attach any condition to her release on bail, the fact that she allegedly skipped a country without using a passport, it's one of a risk. That made it easy for her not to release the accused on bail.
But Bongiwe, it seems like it is not yet the end of the road. The lawyers for Dr Nandipha Magudumana are not ruling out the possibility of appealing this judgment at the higher court, and that's likely to happen possibly in a couple of days. Let's take a listen to what her lawyer, Machini Mutlawung, had to say.
Look, we have our own reservations. We will always respect court's decision. But in terms of really not agreeable to such decision or reason, we are of a different view. But like I said, we're still going through the judgment in its entirety, and we would be in a position to do a bit of mapping exercise and know what's the next step.
But you're not ruling out the possibility of an appeal at this stage. You're not ruling it out.
Obviously, we wouldn't rule it out. It's part of us having to reflect on the judgment and really make the necessary call within legally permissible grounds in terms of what should be the next step after this judgment.
So Magudumana remains behind bars, at least for now, Bongi, where what we expect to happen now is that the lawyers, given the fact that they've indicated that they're not ruling out the possibility of taking this ruling on appeal, that is very likely to happen before their next scheduled appearance. Remember that Magudumana and the other accused in this matter, including accused number 5, who is Thabo Bester, are expected back in court in October, but it is very likely that this appeal will be brought way prior to that. So she remains behind bars for now. The route which she has taken now in the denial of this bail, remember, the co-accused in this particular matter, including who was one of the alleged masterminds here, Sinoya Matsware, who you'd recall Matswara was accused number 1. He was the one who was basically placed at the center of taking Katlego Bereng's body and putting it on the premises of the Mangaung prison for it to be used as a decoy in the escape of Thabo Bester. So you'd recall he was initially denied bail in the magistrate's court. He and others took that on appeal to the High Court, and subsequently then had won and they're basically been placed on bail. Very likely that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana will go the very same route and look at what her prospects will be at a higher court. If the decision is taken to overrule that, she would certainly be placed on bail. We're expecting that this matter should go before a higher court very soon.
And Chriselda, it will also be very interesting, given some of what she said in her own bail application about Thabo Bester. It'll be interesting to see just the synergy between them when they're back again in the dock. But thank you so much for that particular update. That is Chriselda Lewis, SABC News reporter, who's been tracking that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's case.